You can flavor life without sugar, and the substitutes you pick change how your body handles energy, cravings, and digestion. Stevia and monk fruit come from plants and give sweetness with almost no calories. Stevia uses steviol glycosides. Monk fruit uses moghrosides. Pros: they taste sweet without lifting blood sugar, and many people like their clean sweetness in coffee, tea, or yogurt. Cons: some folks notice a faint aftertaste if you use a lot. Metabolic note: they don't raise blood sugar the way real sugar does. Regulators: the main bodies say they're safe within established daily limits. If you have a rare condition called PKU, be aware aspartame is not suitable, but stevia and monk fruit are fine. Swap: in your drink or on fruit, use a few drops of stevia or a pinch of monk fruit extract instead of sugar. Artificial sweeteners include aspartame, saccharine, sucralose, and asulfame potassium. They're very sweet and almost calorie-free. Pros: great at cutting calories, and some are heat-stable for baking or hot drinks. Cons: taste varies by product. Some people notice aftertaste or mild digestive effects. There are ongoing conversations about long-term effects, but regulators have set safe limits. Aspartame contains phenylalanine, so people with PKU must avoid it. Most others can use it within the allowed amount. Metabolic note: they don't raise blood sugar like sugar does. Regulators like FDA and EFSA approve them with specific ADI levels. Swap: for hot drinks or baking, try sucralose. For everyday coffee, you can blend a tiny amount with a little sugar to cut total sweetness while keeping flavor balanced. Sugar alcohols like xylitol, erythritol, and sorbitol give sweetness with fewer calories. Pros: many taste closest to sugar, some help dental health, xylitol, and they don't spike blood sugar as much. Cons: large amounts can cause gas, bloating, or discomfort. Erythritol is usually gentler on digestion. Metabolic note: they provide some calories, but less than sugar, and absorption varies by type. Regulators generally recognize them as safe. Swap: use erythritol in baking or in drinks instead of part of the sugar. Start with small amounts and watch your digestion. Keep xylitol away from pets. Putting it all together, the right choice depends on taste, context, and how your body responds. Read labels, stay within suggested amounts, and don't rely on substitutes alone. Balance with whole foods and real fruit when you can. Swap: if you're used to a lot of sugar, replace half of it with a plant-based sweetener like stevia or monk fruit. For baking, try a mix of sugar substitute and a touch of the real sugar to keep texture and flavor where you want them. An analysis of popular sugar substitutes: stevia, erythritol, sucralose, aspartame. What's the difference? Stevia comes from the stevia plant and is used as a natural sweetener. The key components are steviol glycosides, which taste sweet without adding calories. Regulators in many countries have reviewed stevia and consider it safe for general use within recommended limits. In the body, these compounds are broken down and excreted, so they don't contribute to blood sugar spikes for most people. Some people notice a faint aftertaste, especially with stronger extracts, but blends and purer forms help reduce that. Erythritol is a sugar alcohol, a tiny cousin of natural sugars. It provides sweetness with almost no calories and has little or no effect on blood glucose. Most of it is absorbed in the small intestine and excreted in urine, so it's not a major energy source. It also tends to be gentler on teeth than sugar. The trade-off is that higher amounts can cause gas, bloating, or a cooling sensation in the mouth for some people. It's a common choice for bakers who want a sugar-like mouthfeel without calories. Sucralose is an artificial sweetener made by modifying sugar molecules. It is thousands of times sweeter than sugar and is heat-stable, which makes it useful in baking and hot drinks. It passes through the body mostly intact, contributing no calories and having little to no effect on blood sugar for most people. Some individuals report a lingering aftertaste, and a few studies raise questions about longer-term gut microbiome effects at very high intakes, though regulatory agencies generally deem it safe at typical consumption levels. It's widely used in processed foods and fizzy drinks. Aspartame is another artificial sweetener, made from 2 amino acids. It is very sweet, so only small amounts are needed to achieve the same sweetness as sugar. It is not stable to heat, so it's best reserved for cold foods and beverages. For people with phenylketonuria, aspartame is not suitable because it contains phenylalanine. In the general population, it provides virtually no calories and has little impact on blood sugar when used normally. Some people report headaches or dizziness, but findings on these effects are mixed and often depend on individual sensitivity. It's common in diet sodas and many light foods, with labels that remind consumers about phenylalanine content for those who need to avoid it. A quick comparison in everyday terms helps too. Stevia feels like a natural choice with broad culinary uses but potential aftertaste if used in strong amounts. Erythritol behaves more like sugar in texture and mouthfeel and works well in desserts and baked goods, though it can upset digestion if overused. Sucralose blends easily into hot drinks and baked treats and doesn't raise blood sugar, but some people notice aftertaste and rare gut effects at high amounts. Aspartame delivers sweetness with minimal calories, yet it should be avoided by people with phenylketonuria and isn't suitable for cooking at high heat. If you're choosing a substitute, start with small amounts and see how your body reacts. For beverages like coffee or tea, stevia or sucralose can be reliable and easy. For baked goods, erythritol can mimic sugar's texture better, though you may need to adjust moisture or browning. For cold treats or soft desserts, aspartame can work well, but save it for cold applications and read labels for phenylalanine content. When in doubt, mix a small amount of one sweetener with a touch of another to balance taste and reduce aftertaste. Effects on appetite, microbiome, and glucose levels. Most sugar substitutes do not raise blood sugar levels. They do not supply calories in the same way, so their direct effect on glucose in many people is minimal. The way they influence appetite is not simple. Some folks notice no change in hunger at all, while others report craving more sweets after using these products. The brain links sweetness with expectation of calories, and that can shape how hungry you feel or what you reach for next. Aspartame is a low-calorie sweetener made from amino acids. It is many times sweeter than sugar, so a tiny amount goes far. Pros include plenty of sweetness with little or no calories. Cons for some people include a need to avoid it if you have phenylketonuria, a rare condition. It generally does not raise blood glucose, which is why many people with diabetes use it. The gut microbiome seems unaffected in most people, though a few small studies have suggested subtle shifts in some individuals. In ordinary use, most adults tolerate it well. Typical guidance from regulators is that it is safe within established daily intake levels. Actionable swap: in coffee or tea, try a splash of aspartame for sweetness and see if appetite feels similar to sugar. Saccharine is another old-school artificial sweetener. It has no calories and is very sweet, which means you need only a tiny amount. Pros include being inexpensive and very stable in coffee, yogurt, and sauces. Cons can include a lingering aftertaste and, for some, a perception that it increases cravings for sweetness. Glucose impact is minimal. Most people do not see a rise in blood sugar after using saccharine. Some research has hinted at changes in gut bacteria in animals, but human results are inconsistent. Regulators view saccharine as safe within set limits. Actionable swap: if you're sensitive to aftertaste, blend saccharine with a touch of stevia in drinks or switch to a different sweetener for baking. Sucralose is produced by modifying sugar itself, and it dissolves well in hot and cold foods. Pros include heat stability, so it works in baked goods and sauces. Cons can include a few reports of altered gut bacteria in certain studies, and some people notice a different aftertaste. It does not raise blood glucose for most people. The microbiome evidence in humans is mixed, and effects seem to vary by person. Regulators consider it safe when used within approved levels. Actionable swap: use in plain yogurt or smoothies where you want sweetness without sugar, and monitor how you feel after meals. Acesulfame potassium, or ACE-K, is another calorie-free option often used with other sweeteners. Pros include good stability and a clean taste for some. It blends easily in beverages and baked goods. Cons include a possibility of metallic aftertaste for some palates and mixed signals in gut bacteria in certain studies. Glucose effects are negligible in typical use. Most regulators deem it safe within daily intake limits. Actionable swap: pair ACE-K with a natural sweetener like stevia in beverages if you prefer a lighter taste profile. Stevia glycosides come from a plant and provide 0 calories. Pros include a more natural origin in many shoppers' minds and a flavor that can feel fresher to some people. Cons include occasional bitterness at higher amounts. The data on blood sugar effects are favorable for many people with or without diabetes, with some studies suggesting improved glucose tolerance after meals in some individuals. The microbiome story is still developing, with small studies showing potential prebiotic-like effects in some people. Regulators generally classify steviol glycosides as safe within approved limits. Actionable swap: use stevia in coffee, tea, or spruced-up sauces, aiming for a small, pleasant amount that doesn't leave a bitter edge. Sugar alcohols like xylitol, erythritol, and sorbitol provide fewer calories than sugar and behave a bit like carbohydrates in the gut. Pros include sweetness with some digestible energy and, in the case of erythritol, very little absorption, which lowers blood sugar impact for many users. Cons can include digestive upset, gas, or a laxative effect when eaten in larger amounts. The microbiome can be altered by these sugars, especially when intake is high, and some people notice slower digestion or bloating. Glucose effects vary. Erythritol tends not to raise blood sugar much, while xylitol and sorbitol can have a small effect if eaten in larger amounts. Regulators view sugar alcohols as generally safe within common intake ranges, but individuals should watch tolerance. Actionable swap. Use small amounts of erythritol for baking or in iced drinks, and keep higher fiber meals nearby to lessen GI symptoms. Across these options, the big picture is that you can avoid sugar without wrecking appetite or glucose control, but responses differ person to person. If you're managing diabetes, start with small amounts and monitor your blood glucose after meals to see how a specific sweetener behaves for you. If gut comfort matters, introduce any new sweetener gradually and watch for bloating, gas, or loose stools. The consensus from regulators is that these substitutes are safe within defined limits, but the real test is how they fit your daily routine and how your body responds over a few weeks. Actionable swaps to try now. In coffee or tea, switch from sugar to stevia or erythritol and note appetite signals. Adjust to a comfortable sweetness level. Bake with erythritol or a stevia erythritol blend to reduce sugar while keeping texture. Start with small replacements and test the result. Use saccharine or sucralose sparingly in sauces or dressings where you'd otherwise add sugar, then watch for cravings in the afternoon. If you miss the mouthfeel of sugar, combine a small amount of xylitol with a naturally flavored yogurt, but keep portions modest to avoid GI upset. For daily drinks, alternate between a natural option like stevia and a non-nutritive option like Ace K to see which suits your taste and digestion best. When using sugar alcohols, do so in moderation and pair with high-fiber meals to minimize digestive symptoms. If you notice changes in appetite or digestion after a switch, revert to your previous choice or try a different sweetener and track how you feel over a week. Where they are found: yogurts, bars, sauces, fitness baked goods. Yogurts labeled no sugar added often rely on substitutes to keep sweetness without the calories of sugar. Common choices include stevia, monk fruit, sucralose, aspartame, and acesulfame K. Stevia and monk fruit are plant-based sweeteners, while the others are synthetic blends. In plain terms, they provide sweetness with little or no energy and usually don't push blood sugar much in most people. Regulators consider these ingredients safe when used within established limits. Stevia and monk fruit are usually billed as 0 or near 0 calories, while sugar-like sweeteners contribute negligible energy. The taste trade-off matters, though, because some people notice a faint aftertaste, especially with stronger stevia or monk fruit flavors. If you want to cut sugar in yogurt without sacrificing flavor, a practical swap is plain yogurt with fresh fruit rather than a heavily sweetened variant. Look for no sugar-added lines that favor simpler sweeteners over blended ones. Bars, especially protein and snack bars, lean on sugar substitutes to keep sweetness up while reducing calories and carbs. Sugar alcohols such as erythritol and xylitol are common, along with blends that might include allulose, stevia, or monk fruit. Erythritol and xylitol feel sweet but give fewer calories, and they don't raise blood sugar much. The downside is they can cause gas or a laxative effect if you load up. Allulose behaves like a near 0-calorie cousin of sugar and can help with texture and mouthfeel. Regulators generally classify these ingredients as safe when used as directed, but individual tolerance varies. If you notice stomach discomfort after a bar, check the label for sugar alcohols and try a product with fewer of them. Actionable swap. Choose bars that rely on real nuts, seeds, and fruit for sweetness rather than heavy sugar alcohol blends, or make your own with oats, peanut butter, cocoa, and a touch of stevia or monk fruit. Sauces such as ketchup, barbecue sauces, and salad dressings often swap sugar for sweeteners to lower calories and carbs. Sucralose shows up in many sauces because it remains sweet after cooking. Aspartame and stevia blends are also used in some light sauces. Stevia is heat-stable, so it can maintain sweetness in simmered sauces, while sucralose stays sweet in long cooking times. Metabolic effects are modest for most people, since these sweeteners don't provide energy, yet sensitivity varies. Regulators agree these ingredients are safe within suggested daily intakes, but individual responses differ, especially for people who notice GI or palate changes. Actionable swap. Look for sauces labeled no added sugar or reduced sugar and pair them with fresh herbs and citrus to boost flavor without extra sweeteners, or make your own sauce using tomatoes, spices, and a small amount of fruit puree to control sweetness. In fitness baked goods, the goal is to mimic the sweetness and texture of sugar without piling on calories. Allulose, erythritol, xylitol, monk fruit, and blends are common here. Allulose can brown and caramelize similarly to sugar, giving baked goods a familiar look and taste. Erythritol cools the palate a bit and can alter texture, which some people like and others don't. Monk fruit is intensely sweet, so blends are typical to soften any aftertaste. Regulators consider these ingredients generally safe, but the digestive response varies and large amounts can cause stomach upset for some. Actionable swap: try baking with allulose or a stevia monk fruit blend and reduce other sugars, or replace sugar entirely with mashes of ripe bananas or applesauce plus a small amount of a monk fruit blend to balance sweetness. When is it appropriate and who is better off reducing consumption? Sugar substitutes come in three broad groups: artificial sweeteners, natural plant-based extracts, and sugar alcohols. Artificial options include aspartame, saccharine, sucralose, and asulfame potassium. They deliver sweetness with little to no calories and usually have a minimal effect on blood sugar for most people. Some folks notice a faint aftertaste or a different mouthfeel, and there's ongoing debate about long-term safety, though major regulators have reviewed the data and allow use within set limits. Aspartame, for example, contains phenylalanine and isn't suitable for people with phenylketonuria. Sugar alcohols like erythritol and xylitol provide fewer calories than sugar but can cause gas, bloating, or diarrhea if you swallow a lot at once. Plant-based options such as stevia and monk fruit come from natural sources and are often praised for a clean taste. Regulators in many regions have approved these too, under guidelines that emphasize moderation. Actionable swap: in coffee or tea, try stevia or monk fruit instead of sugar. In baking, start with a small amount of erythritol or a blend to balance flavor. Who is better off reducing consumption of these substances? People with diabetes or insulin resistance often use sugar substitutes to control their intake without dramatically changing taste. For them, replacements can help manage calories and keep meals balanced. Some individuals notice no real metabolic difference, while others find certain sweeteners slightly affect appetite or cravings. People with digestive issues may respond differently. Sugar alcohols can irritate the gut if consumed in large amounts. Those with phenylketonuria should avoid aspartame altogether. If you fall into any of these groups, consider limiting certain sweeteners and testing how your body reacts. Actionable swap: if GI comfort is a concern, choose stevia or monk fruit instead of sugar alcohols. If you have PKU, skip aspartame and rely on other zero-calorie options like stevia or monk fruit. Beyond taste, the metabolic story is practical. Most sugar substitutes do not raise blood glucose much, which helps when you want fewer carbs or fewer calories. The evidence on insulin responses is mixed, and effects can be small and vary between people. Some people worry that sweeteners make cravings stronger. Others feel they help reduce overall sugar intake. Sugar substitutes can be part of a broader approach to eating that prioritizes whole foods, fiber, and regular meals. But they aren't magic bullets and should be used with awareness of dose and context. Actionable swap: keep portions small and spread sweetness through a mix of options. Pair a zero-calorie sweetener with protein or fiber to improve fullness and reduce sugar cravings. Regulators generally view most common sweeteners as safe when used as directed, and they commonly publish guidelines about acceptable daily intake and labeling. In practice, many people can use these substitutes as a tool to cut sugar without adding calories, while others may choose to minimize their use for personal taste or gut comfort. The key is to know your body, read labels, and stay within typical use. Actionable swap: for everyday sweetness, mix a natural option like stevia with a small amount of monk fruit. For baking, blend erythritol with a touch of stevia to reduce aftertaste while keeping structure and texture. How to satisfy your sweet tooth without relapses. Sweeteners come in two main families. Non-nutritive sweeteners are intensely sweet but have few or no calories. Examples include stevia, monk fruit, aspartame, saccharine, and sucralose. Sugar alcohols such as erythritol and xylitol are another group. They have some calories and can affect blood sugar a little, but not as much as sugar. Regulators like FDA and EFSA have evaluated these products and set safety limits called acceptable daily intakes. For most people, these sweeteners do not raise blood glucose in the same way as sugar. Taste varies, with some people noticing a faint aftertaste from natural options like stevia or monk fruit, and others finding certain sugar alcohols create a cooling sensation in the mouth. Metabolic effects are mostly neutral, but research continues on the long-term gut effects of some sweeteners. There are cautions to keep in mind. Aspartame is not appropriate for people with phenylketonuria, and xylitol is toxic to pets. Overall, the choice often comes down to taste, tolerance, and how you use them in your day. To satisfy a sweet tooth without relapses, start with clear, small steps. Pick 1 or 2 sweeteners you actually enjoy and use them consistently for a week to observe how they fit your routine. Cravings tend to ease when sweetness comes with a bit of protein or fiber, so pair treats with yogurt, nuts, or fruit. Flavor boosters can help too. A pinch of cinnamon, a splash of vanilla, or some citrus zest can make foods taste sweeter without adding sugar. When you bake or cook, use blends designed for baking that combine a few sweeteners to mimic sugar's mouthfeel, and begin by substituting a portion rather than the whole amount. Regular meals that include protein and healthy fat reduce overall cravings, and staying well hydrated can lessen impulsive sweets requests. It's useful to plan indulgences rather than wait for a sudden craving to derail your day. In practice, pay attention to dosage and context. Read labels, because some products use more than one type of sweetener, which can change taste and how your body reacts. Sugar substitutes usually don't spike blood sugar, but sugar alcohols may cause gas or bloating if you overdo them. If you have digestive sensitivity, start with small amounts and see how your body responds. If you have diabetes, you can still monitor total carbs and use substitutes to fit your personal plan, but treat the goal as part of a balanced approach rather than a loophole to eat large portions of sweets. And remember that certain people should avoid specific sweeteners for health reasons, so check labels and seek guidance if you have health conditions or unique needs. Regulators generally affirm safety within set limits, but individual responses vary and that matters. Actionable swaps to try now. In coffee or tea, replace sugar with stevia or monk fruit and add a pinch of vanilla or cinnamon for warmth. For yogurt or toppings, use plain yogurt with fresh fruit and a drizzle of monk fruit or stevia-based syrup instead of sugar. When baking, choose a sugar substitute blend and substitute gradually. Start with half the sugar and taste, then adjust as needed. Snack smarter with berries or an apple slices paired with a small amount of nut butter. Add cinnamon to boost perceived sweetness without sugar. Use sugar-free mints or gum containing xylitol to curb mid-afternoon cravings and protect teeth. Make a habit of sparkling water with a splash of citrus juice or a few berry muddles to mimic a sweet sensation without added sugar. If you crave something creamy, try a smoothie with unsweetened almond milk, a handful of frozen fruit, and a touch of stevia. Prep a small sweet plate with portion treats using sugar substitutes so you don't reach for larger, sugar-rich options in a moment of temptation. Sweet without sugar means you can enjoy sweetness with fewer calories, and there isn't a single perfect answer for everyone. The best path is to know your options, how they behave in your body, and how they fit your life. In short, most people can use these sweeteners in moderation, but taste, digestion, and goals matter. Stevia, monk fruit, erythritol, xylitol, saccharine, aspartame, and sucralose are some of the most common choices. Stevia and monk fruit come from plants and add almost no calories. They taste sweet but can have a slight aftertaste for some people. Erythritol and xylitol are sugar alcohols. They mostly don't raise blood sugar, and erythritol is gentler on the gut than some others when used in small amounts, but too much can upset the stomach. Saccharine, aspartame, and sucralose are synthetic sweeteners. They're intensely sweet, so you don't need much. Regulators around the world say these are safe at recommended daily amounts, though how you react can differ from person to person. Direct summary of key points. These sweeteners don't act like sugar in the body. Most people can use them to cut calories or manage blood sugar. Taste and tolerance vary, and sticking to moderate amounts helps. Swap idea. Try replacing one sugar-sweetened item today, like in coffee or tea, with a small amount of stevia or monk fruit to see how you like it. Here's a quick definition and pros and cons snapshot you can use in everyday life. Stevia and monk fruit come from nature and deliver sweetness with 0 or near 0 calories. Stevia is widely used in drinks and yogurt. Its advantage is no sugar spike, but some notice an ashy or bitter aftertaste if you overdo it. Monk fruit is clean tasting and often blended to reduce aftertaste, but some blends include sugar alcohols which can affect digestion. Swap idea. In your daily coffee, try a little stevia or monk fruit instead of sugar this week. Erythritol is a sugar alcohol found in small amounts in fruits and in many sugar-free products. It tastes like sugar but has almost no calories and little effect on blood sugar. The catch is that large amounts can upset the gut. Xylitol tastes very similar to sugar and has the bonus of dental benefits, but it can cause digestive issues in some people and is toxic to dogs. Swap idea. Bake with a measured spoon of erythritol or use a blend that reduces aftertaste rather than using a lot of sugar. Saccharine, aspartame, and sucralose are very sweet and calorie-free. Saccharine has a long history and a strong sweetness. Some people notice a metallic aftertaste. Aspartame breaks down into parts your body uses, so people with phenylketonuria should avoid it. It isn't heat-stable, so it's not ideal for baking. Sucralose holds up under heat and works well in cooking, but some studies point to small shifts in gut bacteria for some people. Regulators have set safe daily intake levels for all of these, and most people can use them without problems when they stick to those limits. Swap idea. If you bake, try sucralose or a stevia blend and see how your recipe changes in texture and taste. Metabolic effects in plain language. Sugar substitutes don't raise blood sugar the same way table sugar does, which is why they're popular for diabetes management or cutting calories. Some people notice a tiny insulin response with certain sweeteners, but the research isn't clear or universal. Sugar alcohols can add calories and affect gut comfort, especially in large amounts. The bottom line is that most people can use these within reasonable bounds, but if you have diabetes, consult your healthcare provider about which options fit your plan. Regulatory bodies agree that, used as directed, these sweeteners are safe to consume. Swap idea. If you're managing blood sugar, pick a non-calorie option you actually enjoy and use it consistently in place of sugary drinks for a week. Context and dosage matter. The impact of these sweeteners depends on how much you use and what you pair them with. Reading labels helps you catch extra sweeteners in combos, and keeping a simple log for a week can show you what feels best for your body. Swap idea. Pick one meal or drink per day to replace sugar with a preferred sweetener and note how you feel after a week. If you're watching this, you're already thinking about how to balance taste, calories, and health. First hear you. For many people, using a mix of these options, stevia for morning beverages, erythritol for baking, and occasional sucralose for hot drinks, can cover most cravings without way overdoing anything. In the next videos, we'll test these sweeteners in real recipes, show how they bake and how they taste when mixed, and map out labels you should check so you know exactly what you're getting. Smooth call to action. If this helped you feel more confident about sugar substitutes, hit like, subscribe, and tell me which sweetener you use most and why. Your questions inspire the next videos, so drop a comment with what you want to see tried in a kitchen test. Genuine future content mention. Coming up, we'll do hands-on recipe trials with stevia, monk fruit, erythritol, and sucralose, compare baking results, and share practical tips for reading labels and choosing blends. We'll also explore how to manage cravings and still enjoy treats in a balanced way. Final actionable swaps to try this week. Swap one sugary drink for water, sparkling water, or unsweetened tea, and add a squeeze of lemon for flavor. In coffee or tea, replace 1 teaspoon of sugar with a small amount of stevia or monk fruit. In baking, start with half sugar and half erythritol or a stevia blend. Adjust to taste and texture. Check labels for blends and choose products that list fewer added sugars or a single preferred sweetener. Keep a simple log of which sweeteners you use and how they make you feel, then pick your favorite for regular use. You've got this. See you in the next video, and tell me which swaps you want tested first.